Hey, it's Ika here. I thought I'd make a video on basically an update on a video that I did earlier. I About 2 months ago, or exactly 2 months ago today, I did a video on the most influential, most seen Pokemon in the early like Sword and Shield Battle Spot Stadiums meta, and now a lot of that video is kind of I wouldn't say obsolete, but the meta has changed, and I've become a lot more knowledgeable in terms of Gen 8 BSS. So I wanted to make an update so that people who are coming in have a good idea, like after 2 seasons, how has the meta like shaped up and what is good and why is it good now. I'm going to be using the Sword and Shield BSS viability rankings. Currently, there's not really usage stats for cartridge, otherwise I'd be using that. Done by the VR Council. I don't necessarily agree with everything here. In fact, I wrote a post like down here, like of some stuff that I think maybe should be changed. I didn't really touch on C tier, but yeah, I will be looking at everything from S all the way down to B minus, and then I'm not really going to touch on most of these. I might talk about like some of the more important ones. Type null. I'll probably briefly touch on what else? Like maybe like Inteleon. But yeah, most of these are not very good. Maybe Alcremie. But yeah, I'll talk about the Pokemon and the positions in the meta, why they're good, etc., etc. I actually started this video before, and I realized my mic was not turned on, which is never a good sign. So I was like 10 minutes into my first attempt, so I've already got some stuff sorted out. But anyways, I can kind of get into it. So Dragapult. Basically, I'll talk about the three best Pokemon. These are the three best Pokemon currently in the meta game. I think it's pretty unanimous. They're a step ahead of everything. I'm just going to talk about them in order, really. Dragapult, I've just put like some sets here as I was talking through them. Basically, what makes Dragapult great is, firstly, it's like Greninja or like Tapu Koko from Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon BSS. If you played that meta, pretty much it's fast, it's versatile. It doesn't hit the hardest, but it can do everything pretty much. And on the and it has a lot that you have to look out for in terms of sets, which makes it very unpredictable and very hard to prepare for team preview. It has two great abilities. Generally, you're not seeing Curse Body use. Clear Body, more common on physical sets. Infiltrator, more common on special sets. In terms of special sets, Choice Specs or Choice Scarf is a common one. You can see Life Orb here, but Life Orb generally less common on Dragapult. You can basically, there's like some very valuable items that like Life Orb, Assault Vest, that you generally don't see on you only see on certain Pokemon because they're just so valuable, but you can see them on, of course, Dragapult, as with any Pokemon. Choice Specs generally Shadow Ball, Draco, Fire Blast, Thunderbolt. Shadow Ball hits, and Draco just a dual stab. Hits like Mimikyu, Corsola. This Draco, mainly you're using it for strong neutral hits, and it hits Hydreigon most importantly super effectively. Fire Blast, that's for Fairthorn, Corviknight are the main things, and then Thunderbolt is for Gyarados, and it also like has Toxapex. Choice Specs generally like with Dragapult doesn't have a great special attack, so it can be walled by certain things with this set, but it can be a potent breaker in the right circumstances. This is also another option when you're modest, when you're going with Scarf. the main checks to this sort of set in meta, stuff like Tokius and Tyranitar can generally take hits, as can Snorlax. And if we go further down, Sylveon is a big one as well. And this is why part of why these Pokemon are good is they're able to switch into Dragapult. Not only this set, but often other sets as well. Mimikyu is also another one because of the great ability to disguise. Can threaten Yoko with Life Orb Play Rough. Dragapult also has physical sets as well. This is one of the most common ones that's rising up in popularity. Is the Weakness Policy set. We got generally have Fly or Acrobatics here for max Airstream with Phantom Force, Dragon Darts, and then in the last slot you generally have either Fire Blast or Steel Wing. Steel Wing gives you max Steel Spike, which can help you better live hits with your Dynamax plus Weakness Policy combo. Whereas Fire Blast, it basically allows you to hit Ferrothorn and Corviknight, which would otherwise wall this set quite easily. Generally, these are bulkier in order to live hits. You can even see ones that are like is this Impish? Yeah, Impish Nature, something like that. 168 is common speed tier. Another one is 190. These two speed tiers allowed you to outspeed Charizard and Inteleon / Cinderace respectively. So they're two important speed tiers to look out for when using any Dragapult set, especially bulkier ones. Clear bodies generally you don't want Pokemon using max I forgot the name of it, Max Wormwind. For example, opposing Dragapult using it on you to lower your attack, that would suck. So you don't want to use it. Or Corsola spamming what's it called, Strength Sap. But generally you're screwed if Corsola spamming Strength Sap against you. But with the Weakness Policy boost, you can break through Corsola as well, or with Dynamax. Then you have this sort of set, so you can have bulky Will-O-Wisp. Will-O-Wisp generally paired with Hex. You don't have to have special moves here, but you know it's cool. It's cool to have this coverage. Draco Meteor or Dragon Pulse can be in this set. Generally, you want to be running Fire Blast with Dragapult over Flamethrower for the extra power. Unfortunately, Fire Blast actually does suck. But it gives you a stronger max flare, and it can actually 2-hit KO max HP Corviknight. Though with 20 death investment, max HP Corviknight does avoid the 2-hit KO most of the time from non-invested Dragapult. But yeah, basically Fire Blast gives you more power. Then another one you can see sometimes, if you're looking at hard setup teams, you could run Dragapult as a screener. Generally, you're not going to see this too often. Often with these sorts of things, you'd prefer to use Grimmsnarl or something like that as your hard setup, because Dragapult works great under dual screens. But you can see this like Clay. And then another one that I've seen around a bit is some variant of with sub DD with Baton Pass. Dragapult can scare out Pokemon, so you get subs off, and then you're fast as shit, so you can Baton Pass into anything pretty much. You can also see U-turn on choice Dragapult sets, but not as common. You want this coverage really. But yeah, that's Dragapult basically. There's a lot more that you can do with this Pokemon. It has stuff like Curse. I should mention back here something that I did mention in my last video, and then the video I was recording but then forgot it here. Phantom Force is a great move. It allows Dragapult to avoid basically waste turns of Dynamax from opposing Pokemon. So that's something to keep in mind. It does have water coverage on special sets as well, but you're not going to see that too often. And yeah, that's about it really for Dragapult. Excadrill, basically, you're often going to see like some sort of it can run multiple sets. You have the two main abilities, Sand Rush and Mold Breaker. You'll be able to tell which one it is, obviously, from the switch in. Often you'll find that solo Excadrills are Sand Rush, and then non-solo Excadrills, i.e. ones with Hippo and or T-Tar, are Mold Breaker. Don't know why. People like Pseudo-Sand, thinks it tricks people out, but it doesn't really. But you're going to always see Iron Head Earthquake, almost always. Then a Rock move generally in your third slot, Rock Tomb or Rock Slide. Sometimes you can see stuff like Brick Break. There's a fighting coverage, hits Snorlax, for example, super effectively. You can even see Shadow Claw on a rare occasion, but I don't think it's really necessary. And then SD in the last slot, or you can see Rapid Spin or Stealth Rock, depends on what sort of set it is. Generally, you're always going to see some sort of Adamant Nature. You can run Bulk Investment on Excadrill. Sash is a common item, Life Orb is a common item, Bulky Berry is a common item. What else is common? Assault Vest is a common item, although but it really just depends on the sets. You can also run like resist berries like Chopple or the 5 resist berry. I'm trying to think what it is called off the top of my head. Oh, that's going to annoy me. That is Ockerberry. There you go. So yeah, that's another one you can see, because often, you know, Excadrill's gonna take like something from Togekiss, for example, like a Max Flare. You want to live that and click Iron Head. So that's an example. Also, something else that can be in here on Assault Vest sets or on any set in general, Horn Drill, helps you break through Stall and stuff like that. Actually, a lot more simpler than Dragapult, but just very good at what it does. If you look at in the meta, can at least trade with Dragapult equally. Beats Mimikyu, beats Rotom Heat with Mold Breaker, beats Togekiss, T-Tar. I mean, these I'm assuming here without like Dynamax shenanigans and stuff like that. Does, you know, decently well against Hydreigon, beats Rotom Wash. Is like 50-50 versus Snorlax. But yeah, it can beat a lot of these Pokemon, especially Mold Breaker does well against Rotom forms, so it does well against these. The only real like great switch-ins, Corviknight's a good switch-in to Excadrill, so you have to watch out for Horn Drill. Swords can be a decent one, Hippo's a decent switch-in, Pharaoh can be a decent switch-in, and then you have stuff down here that can switch in quite well. But yeah, Excadrill definitely a staple, one of the most dangerous sweepers in the tier. Also just a staple. Dynamax is excellent for it. SD plus Dynamax generally like rip through teams. Talk about the third Pokemon, Mimikyu. Mimikyu probably yet again the best Pokemon in BSS. The standard set for Mimikyu, Play Rough, Shadow Claw, Shadow Sneak, and SD. If you haven't seen this set with the Jolly Nature, then you haven't been playing enough Stadium Singles. Just in general, great. I mean, you use Mimikyu for this busted ability here, and I'm not talking about the disguise being busted, because generally Mimikyu's disguise is rarely busted. But yeah, I mean, SD plus max Phantasm spam. Really, really, really annoying for a lot of these Pokemon. A lot, Snorlax is good. Corviknight with the Mirror Armor is good against it. Those are two examples, although maybe you can run a lot of other sets. And you can base it with stuff like Weakness Policy from Tyranitar or from Dragapult. Extra also very good Mimikyu check. But yeah, just a staple, and it's very good at blocking opponents from sweeping the game. The meta game is dominated by Weakness Policy users, Dynamaxes, Max Airstream, all of that. Mimikyu can always live a hit due to Disguise, except against obviously more Breaker Extrador and Hit Back, which is really valuable. There's a few other options I should talk about here that are worth talking about. Generally, Mimikyu's the rise of certain Mimikyu sets, the Trick Room set with Trick Room and Curse. Here, generally you want to have max HP with this, or with an Adamant Nature. Life Orb's fine, although you can run Mental Herb, or I've even seen Room Service or Rocky Helmet. Anything really in this slot. But yeah, Trick Room allows you to crucially set the tides of battle against Dynamax. Let's say you have a Togekiss against you that's spamming Max Airstream after it's nasty plotted. That sucks. Mimikyu is here to save the day with Trick Room. Curse out. You can bring in something slow as shit like Viperia or Conkeldurr. Are two great Pokemon to pair with this sort of set. And just turn around, or it can be used as a standalone thing just against things. Curse out to die. You can run Drain Punch, funnily enough. I just randomly clicked on that. I don't think it's as good as it is, but it is a bit of a gimmick. You can run Wisp. Pretty uncommon to see Wisp or T-Wave. Generally, you won't see those sorts of things. You can see Woodhammer. Woodhammer is definitely something worth noting. It can take out certain Pokemon that are quite annoying to certain teams that you wouldn't expect. Like it can take out Hippo or Quagsire is a big one, or Seismitoad or Lapras. So yeah, that Woodhammer is definitely something that's worth noting, and then obviously Max Overgrowth is good for mitigating Life Orb recall and stuff like that. So yeah, Mimikyu, a lot to go for it, and the reason these Pokemon are just great is because they are excellent on every single team, and any good team should not have just one check for these Pokemon. They should have multiple checks. I'll show you examples from I'll click on a random team. This team here, 16th rank in season 1. I haven't even looked at it really, but I bet there's at least 2 Mimikyu checks, 2 Excadrill checks, and 2 Dragapult checks. You need them. And so, for example, this one, Excadrill checks. It has Body Press, Iron Defense, Ferrothorn, and Life Orb Seismitoad. To a lesser extent, you can always Dynamax with Dragapult and Weakness Policy Fire Blast. This is an example of Weakness Policy spread here. Mimikyu checks. This Weakness Policy is for Mimikyu. You've got the Ferrothorn again. Cloyster, a good Mimikyu check. So these two are the primal ones, and then you have the tech, which is the Weakness Policy Dragapult. And then your Dragapult checks, you have Lum Togekiss, and you have Mimikyu as your primary ones, and then you can always outspeed with Swift Swim Seismitoad if you need be. So yeah, that's just an example of a team, and I could go through most of these top teams, I believe, and I'd find like multiple mimicry checks, multiple Dragapult checks, multiple extra duel checks, because that's how important they are in the meta. So like here, like this, they have mimicry checks, Corviknight and Drill, Dragapult checks. You have Umbreon here, and you have this Assault vs Extra actually also decent versus Dragapult and Scarf Darmanitan. And then extra checks, you have Scarf Darmanitan again. You have Umbreon, Gastro, and you have this Corviknight set that I don't think the Corviknight set's actually that good. And you also have Gastro as an emergency stop. So I'm just trying to give how important these Pokemon are, because you'll see them on anywhere between 30 and 50% of teams. So you better be ready for them. Looking down, further down, you have Corviknight. Corviknight's the 4th best Pokemon in BSS. You can run all sorts of things on Corviknight. What people were running at the start was like Rocky Helmet or Leftovers. We'll call it Leftovers for now. Corviknight with Brave Bird, Iron Defense, Body Press, and Roost. This is like a common defensive Corviknight spread. 252 plus. Minus, maybe you want like a bit more speed in this. Depends what your speed creeping. A bit of speed investment can allow like other Pokemon that is stop other Pokemon that is speed creeping you, like stuff like Sylveon might speed creep you, or in general like other base 60s. You can see what else. Looking down at the speed tiers, there's not too much that's important here. But yeah, Corviknight's going to be the main thing. Stuff like Alcremie, T-Tar is an important one, and Lapras. These things can speed creep you, so you can always run a bit of speed in this defensive set, but that's like a general defensive set. You can also run faster sets, so Corviknight, Bulk Up, Brave Bird, Taunt, Roost, and probably also Leftovers on this, and you'll have like max HP with some high sort of speed. Generally you want 20 Spadef on this. This allows you to live negative natured Dragapults, what's it called, Fire Blast. So yeah, something like this can work. You can bulk up max airstream on a lot of the tier. Taunt just stops other Pokemon setting up. You use it as a check to certain setup sweepers like Gyarados and that, and stop them DDing alongside you. And yeah, you can run Pressure or you can run Mirror Armor on this. Pressure's good for certain things, like low PP moves is the main thing. You can like technically restore like Dragapult's Fire Blast with Pressure, or you can use this as a general stall breaker. Brave Bird, Taunt, Roost, Bulk Up can do very well against stall. Those are probably the main sets you're going to see. You can also obviously moves that you can see on Corviknight, Ironhead, that aren't here, that I haven't talked about. Ironhead, you can run U-turn. I don't really see much U-turn at all. Drill Peck is something you can run if you don't want to take the recall of Brave Bird, and that's about it. Like, Corviknight is a pretty simplistic Pokemon. It has like two things that it can do very well, but if you look at it, it wars quite a lot of the meta. It can wall physical Dragapult, it can wall extra dual Mimikyu. These are the main ones. T-Tar is another one if it's physical. Basically, it's walling physical attackers. So Gara is another one. Snorlax to an extent, it can wall Hippo, it can stop it doing anything. Ferret can stop it doing anything and just start taunting and bulking up. So it's really quite obnoxious. But at the same time, when you're looking to make a Corviknight team or a team with Corviknight in, you have to be worried about special attackers. All special attackers in this tier have moves specifically for Corviknight. Rotom obviously uses just the typing. It will have electric type moves. Togekiss has Fire Blast. Even you can run special T-Tar with fire moves. What else? Like Sylveon to a lesser extent will have Mystical Fire, not very often, but it has Yawn, which also deals with Corviknight. Charizard's a big thing, so and if you look further down, there's Pokemon here that can break through Corviknight. So you've always got to keep that in mind. But generally, it's probably the best physically defensive wall in the tier. So you should definitely be looking to put it on your team. It has a few Pokemon that do take advantage of it, so you've got to keep that in mind as well. Moving on, we have Rotom. I'm going to talk about the three main Rotom forms, Heat, Mow, and Wash at the same time. They're essentially pretty similar, except I mean, they all have multitudes of sets, but the main difference is you're valuing the typing and basically the typing and what best fits in your team when choosing a Rotom form. Rotom Heat, the main thing with Rotom Heat is it's better against Corviknight, and it has a better job of checking Togekiss in particular. Is the main two things that sets Rotom Heat apart, and it's better against Ferrothorn as well. These are the main three things that make Rotom Heat good. Or why you should choose it. Bulky Berry is common, not Figgy, because you get you're always going to be minus attack nature. But yeah, something like Will-O-Wisp, Overheat, or obviously on Rotom Mow and Rotom Wash, it would be Leaf Storm and Hydro Pump, Volt Switch, and then you can run anything in your last slot. T-Bolt is pretty common. This is like a more defensive set, maybe something like this, or something like this with like maybe a few speed investment, or you can even run like it in Spadef or defense or something like that. But yeah, you're just burning stuff, pivoting around, using your unique typing and your levitate ability to switch in and out stuff, spread status, pivot into your threats slowly. Then you have Scarf / Specs Rotom. Generally, you're running your Stab again, Overheat, Volt, and then you probably want to run Trick on one of these, and Shadow Ball is your last. Shadow Ball hits Dragon Pulse or Mimikyu. You can run Dark Pulse here as well. That's another option. Dark Pulse gives you max darkness, which slows opponents to death. And sometimes you can see stuff like Scarf Will-O-Wisp, Scarf T-Wave. Well, that's less common. And then the other one you'll probably see is Nasty Plot. It can be Nasty Plot 3 attacks or Nasty Plot sub. Generally, you're going to have T-Bolt, you're going to have your Dual Stab, and then you'll have Dark Pulse here. This is common, or you can have sub over this, and you just Nasty Plot and aim to get sweep teams with Dynamax. With this sort of thing, often with sub you might have something like Leftovers, or you can still have Bulky Berry here, or even Life Orb. Another Rotom set that you might see is with that you'll probably have like something like this sort of spread, and then obviously you're going to have Timid also with your Scarf. You can also have Assault Vest. So with like Rotom Heat, it would be the Rotom Heat is a less common Assault Vest user. You're more likely to see Rotom Wash and Rotom Heat have Assault Vest just because of their typings. Rotom Mow, generally you're using Rotom Mow to check certain Pokemon that other Rotom forms would struggle with. So Breaker Extra Drill is, it's at least neutral to Earthquake. Being able to hit Gastrodon and Quagsire and Seismitoad for the 4 times damage, as well as Rhyperior. So this Pokemon's less likely to be Assault Vest, but I thought I'd just give an example anyways. So this is your common Assault Vesting, and it will be like max HP, max special attack, something like that. Maybe a bit of speed. You want to creep off of Rotoms and stuff like that. Be my guest. But yeah, AV is common, and this is pretty much Rotom. You pivot in. You can do a lot of different things. I'd say like this is less common, but you can see it on Rotom Heat and Rotom Wash. Rotom Heat, generally you're looking at Togekiss in particular as something to check, as well as Corviknight and Ferrothorn. For Rotom Wash, Garrett is one. Although Garrett does have max overgrowth, it's not quite as good as max Geyser is against Rotom Heat, and it doesn't set up rain. Also, Rotom Wash, pretty decent against Rhyperior as well. Just has a good typing for resisting bulky waters in general. Whilst like basically Rotom, for example, like versus Lapras, it will get attacked by Ice Beam or Freeze Dry from Lapras, for example. So like a lot of these bulky waters will be able to like get through it, and it's also better against Cloyster is another one. So there is definitely utility in Rotom Wash. Rotom Mow, you're mainly looking for what's this called? Rhyperior's big one. It's less weaker versus Extra Drill, and you can Quagsire and Seismitoad, all the water ground types, and Gastrodon. So yeah, there's the Rotom forms. Very good Pokemon in the tier. You can pair it with anything. Togekiss. There are like 2 main abilities: Super Luck and Serene Grace. I think Serene Grace is better. Some people use Super Luck. You can crit people with your max moves, which is pretty cool. Sometimes with like Scope Lens, but I'm going to focus on Serene Grace. Main 3 items you're going to see is Weakness Policy, really big one. Togekiss doesn't need to run any bulk, but you can run like a bit of bulk here just to attack for certain moves. Air Slash, Dazzling Gleam, Fire Blast or Flame Thrower, and Nasty Plot. This is a common set that you're going to have to really be looking out for. With Weakness Policy or with Life Orb, you can run another coverage move. Generally, cover moves: Grass Knot for Rhyperior. You can run T-Wave here, just in general to piss opposing Pokemon off, because you can flinch them down with Air Slash, and then Ancient Power for Rotom forms and for basically Rotom Heat. But you have one specific one of these coverage moves, but then Nasty Plot is also common. Nasty Plot more common on Life Orb. Life Orb just hits that bit much harder. Really dangerous, this Pokemon. With Max Airstream, it can just sweep through entire teams. Main checks to it, you're looking at Excadrill, you're looking at Snorlax, a great special wall. Sylveon can switch into anything and click Yawn, where it tries to Dynamax and kind of wish it back. Rotom Heat is a premier Togekiss check, and then down here, Rhyperior can do very well as long as Togekiss doesn't have Grass Knot. Yeah, watch out for this Pokemon. Probably easily the most threatening weakness policy sweeper in the game. Talk about Tyranitar. Main two, you're going to see weakness policy. Tyranitar with DD, and then like you can see two different weakness policies, I should say. There's the physical and there's the special weakness policy. With DD, you'll have Quake, you'll have some sort of rock move, and then perhaps you'll have Crunch or something like this. Typical T-Type set, you can have like fire coverage here or fighting coverage with superpower or anything, just as fast as you can get, because you want to get to decent-ish speed with Dragon Dance. You're never going to outspeed like Dragapult, but you can outspeed like Charizard or something like that. Yeah, use your excellent special bulk to eat up hits. Use Dynamax to eat up even 4 times effective hits, and then start going on sweeps opposing teams. Alternative one is you can run like Ice Beam and T-Bolt and Fire Blast and Flamethrower, something like that, or Dark Pulse. Go on a special set with weakness policy as well. T-Top doesn't have that bad special attack. Still slow, but it's bulky. And then in terms of other sets, you might see Sash, you might see Assault Vest. And these are two main ones. And then you're generally going to see, with Sash, you'll probably see Stealth Rock, with like Taunt, Rock Tomb, that sort of thing. And then with Assault Vest, you can run like even Iron Head on this, but yeah, Assault Vest, you guys just see 4 attacks. They can be anything really. T-Tar isn't too deadly without boosts, but it has a decent place in the meta. Yeah, just watch out in particular for weakness policy. Gyarados. Oh, this Pokemon is also like a bit of a nightmare. You can either Intimidate or Moxie, both abilities. Fireball, Life Orb. You can run the Electric Resist Berry, which I've forgotten what it's called. That's gonna bug me again. You can run Charty as well. Wakan Berry. You can run Sharp Beak, but you're always going to see the same thing: DD, Waterfall, Bounce, plus 1 move, and the 1 move is generally Power Whip. You can run Taunt here. You can run even stuff like T-Wave, Stone Edge, but you're gonna see Power Whip. Power Whip hits Rotom basically. Otherwise, you're gonna be walled by Rotom Wash. Always Max Jolly. Pokemon's obnoxious because it's very bulky, it can eat a lot of stuff, and then you drone dance up once and the game's fucking over, because you just click Max Airstream, which off like Gara's decent attack and decent speed, you're just faster than everything, and Waterfall hits like a truck under rain. So yeah, that's Gara for you. Main checks to Gara. Corviknight is the main check in the tier. You can also run like Rotom Wash can kind of check it, as can Ferrothorn can kind of check it. Depends on the sets. Other Pokemon that can switch in Live a Hit, like Toxapex can switch in Live a Hit and Haze. Dracozolt is another one that can live everything. It does have to fit Earthquake though, and Quag can kind of live stuff as long as it has to watch out for Dynamax. But yeah, generally you just have to position in a way, and Cloister is like a decentish check. You have to position in a way that you don't let it get like too many boosts. Slots can also eat hits. But yeah, obviously there's a lot of electric moves going around. There's Rotom forms everywhere. T-Bolt and Dragapult. And then, down here there's stuff like Toxtricity, Dracozolt. Those are the main ones, really. You can have like Thunder Punch on Snorlax, or on Conkeldurr, are two other ones, and then you have like Stone Edge and Rock Tomb on Excadrill and stuff like that. So it's something that you have to play around with in team preview, but it's definitely a big threat. So talk about Hydreigon. Hydreigon, it goes, the most common at the moment I think is Scarf, U-Turn, Draco, and then you'll have Dark Pulse, and then one more move. I've been seeing more and more Flash Cannon. Flash Cannon is good for like Max Steel Spike against certain Pokemon. It can like break through, at least does damage to Sylveon, basically. Less common on Scarf sets. You're probably more likely to see Fire Blast for Corviknight and for Fairthorn. But yeah, common Scarf set. And then for like other sets, you can see like Life Orb or something like that. Hydreigon learns Nasty Plot, really obnoxious. You can see sub Nasty Plot, Dark Pulse, Flash Cannon is one you really have to look out for. With these, they're nearly always like timid max speed of some sort. Nasty Plot, sub Dark Pulse, Flash Cannon, this is one, and then Nasty Plot 3 attacks and another one. With Life Orb, Max Steel Spike, you can start like KOing a lot of stuff really quickly. Yeah, Dragon Pulse or Draco here, pretty common. You're not going to see as much Earth Power, it's not as important in the meta at the moment. Fire Blast is definitely a big one, but with Nasty Plot you can break through Corviknight and Fairthorn with just Dark Pulse, so this is like a common theme. Whereas like your main checks to this sort of Hydreigon set, Sylveon is a major one. Togekiss is another big one. Mimikyu is another big one, and then Dragapult can revenge kill Hydreigon quite easily if it's like a Nasty Plot set. If it's the Scarf set, then stuff like there'll be special walls on your team like Sylveon and Snorlax that can always switch in. Talked about Rotom Wash. Talk about Snorlax. Snorlax is very good. Can run a huge variety of sets. Generally going to see Thick Fat and Gluttony. These are two main viable things. Gluttony you always going to see with Bulky Berry. Recycle. You can run Curse Recycle still, or you can run. Though you don't have to run. If you're running Recycle, you run Curse Recycle. You run Darkest Lariat. Double Edges generally have it, and then one more move. You Fire Punch. Darkest Lariat. You can run even non-important, non-stab moves. So you can run Heavy Slam plus Darkest Lariat is one that I've seen. With these, you're always going to have some sort of bulk. Always want defense investment in Snorlax. Max defense. 252. The Adamant. Max attack, max defense seems to be a common build on Snorlax from Gen 7. You don't see the bulky spreads to live Tapu Lele's Psychics because it doesn't matter anymore. but yeah, this is one like sort of set. Curse Recycle. The other sort of set that you're going to see is Yawn plus 3 attacks. This is like generally on setup, so Yawn, maybe Double Edge, Fire Punch. You can run like something like Heavy Slam. Heavy Slam become more popular, just because it does work. And then you have Assault Vest, so AV Snorlax generally going to see thick fat. This is like can like live a lot of hits from like Rotom Heat, Charizard, our main ones, Hydreigon, Togekiss. Just basically it just aims to trade hits. You go see Double Edge on this. You go see Heavy Slam. Heavy Slam is for Togekiss, for Mimikyu. It gives it physical presence as well. Thunder Punch for is something often seen for Gyarados and Cloyster. And then lastly, you might see something like Hammer Arm. Hits Hydreigon hard and hits opposing Snorlax and T-Tar. This is like a pretty good spread. So you don't actually need to run it. You don't need to run Fire Punch because it's you have Hammer Arm for Fire Fawn and you have Thunder Punch for Corviknight. This is a cool Snorlax set. But yeah, Snorlax can do everything as it used to do. Watch out for the main things. It has like random tech counter is one big one that you have to watch out for. Belly Drum is another one that can be on certain teams. Snorlax can Belly Drum on a lot of Pokemon and sweep them. So yeah, looking at A-, we'll start with Darmanitan. Darmanitan, simple. There's only two items you can run on Darmanitan. Choice Scarf being the main one. You're always going to see Icicle Crash, or more common becoming Ice Punch. You don't want to lose the game off 10% sort of thing. Flare Blitz. Then you'll see U-Turn here, and either Superpower or Earthquake will be your last move. Max Attack. Generally with a Jolly nature, you want to outspeed other Scarfers. And then you can also see Band. Obviously with Gorilla Tactics you get free Band, and you have a Band. It's just stupidly strong, and this is like a more store breaking set. Or you can have EQ here, and it just hits stupidly hard as people struggle to switch into Dom. Really, a lot of the Pokemon here, the reason Dom is good is it can sweep quite easily in the end game. Like, although it only has 2 sets, they're like not very much can switch into it. Mimikyu gets, if Mimikyu's not got Disguise, he'll get OHKO'd. X-Trill gets OHKO'd by Earthquake or Superpower. Dragapult hates ice moves. Corviknight can switch in. Doesn't like Flare Blitz. Doesn't like Superpower. Can live one hit in a 1v1. Also Darmanitan can U-turn on a lot of these Pokemon. Hate OHKO'd by Superpower unless like Dynamaxed. Gyara can actually live some hits, but doesn't like Icicle Crash. So this Pokemon is very strong. The problem is it's the reason why it's not higher up is it's a bit linear in what it can do. You know its choice, and you lose Gorilla Tactics boost if you Dynamax. So there is that disadvantage. Although you can do it in certain circumstances. So yeah, that's Dom. Cloyster, you're going to be seeing the same set. You're running Adamant Nature as opposed to Jolly this gen. The reason you run Adamant is you don't need to be speed time or being faster than Breloom or something like that, or being faster than Charizard at plus 1. The plus 2 doesn't matter. Well, being faster than +1 Charizard at +2 doesn't matter. If you eat a hit from Charizard, you just die. But yeah, mostly going to see Sash on this. You can see White Herb sometimes, but it's the same set. Shell Smash, Icicle Spear, Rock Blast, and Shard. You can see Liquidation in the Shard slot. That will hit certain Pokemon harder. Not that many though. Not that many Pokemon. It hit like Asia Slash harder. Hit Excadrill harder. So you should be, at +2 you'll be able to rip through teams. Hit Court can, but yeah, basically, Cloyster, very good sweeper. Like you can get the opportunity to Shell Smash. It's harder to get rocks up this gen. Like Ferrothorn, for example, might be running rocks in like Gen 7, but really doesn't want to run them in Gen 8. The only things that really want to run rocks are Hippo. That's about it. You don't really want rocks on your Excadrill. You can run rocks on Excadrill. You can run rocks on T-Tar. You can run rocks on Corsola. You don't really want to use Corsola, and you like to use weakness policy on T-Tar with Dragon Dance. So you like to use SD Excadrill. It's a very fast meta game, so Cloyster generally able to live a hit. Has to watch out for stuff. Certain stuff like boosted multi-hit moves is one. Being flinched by Togekiss, another one. Stuff that can eat one hit from it. For example, and then Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn does the same thing as it always did. Leftovers or Bulky Berry generally. You see Power, Gyro, Leech, Protect, the common set with like max HP, max defense, with relaxed nature. You can see Curse in this one, or Iron Defense here. Always going to have Leech Seed, or probably nearly always going to have Gyro Ball. Ferrothorn can Dynamax, one of the few defensive Pokemon that can, because Max Steel Spike hits like a truck and it gets defense raises. Very good. Also can run knockoff T-Wave, in certain circumstances. So it has that going for it. Decent check to Drill, decent check to Mimikyu are the main things that it has going for it. Can check certain Pokemon up here, like it can check Snorlax or Rotom Wash with like Leech Seed plus Curse for Snorlax. Does decent against Hippo. So yeah, it has its niche. Obviously, it struggles against the plethora of fire type attacks from he and Togekiss are the main two, and Hydreigon and Dragapult up here. And he really doesn't like these Pokemon, but it has its unique strengths, and when these Pokemon are taken out the game, that it's strong. Grimmsnarl, I'm only going to talk about one set for Grimmsnarl. It does have other sets. Main thing it has going for it though is Prankster, not like Ball, like Clay. You'll have Reflex, Light Screen, then like perhaps T-Wave or Taunt. One of those two, maybe Taunt or T-Wave, and then you'll have its signature fairy move, Spirit Break, the common thing, or Foul Play here, or even Throat Chop. But yeah, great setup. Can set up dual screens for a very long time. You generally get to run max HP, max defense, something like this. Common. Hippo. Not too much to Hippo. Exactly the same thing it did always. Earthquake, Yawn, Whirlwind, and Stealth Rock. I'm forgetting Stealth Rock. How could I? Yeah, Hippo hasn't changed at all. Of people were originally running Slack off, and you can still run Slack off on Hippo, but it's about as common as it was in Gen 7. This is the best set. I mean, yes, Whirlwind does not work on Dynamax Pokemon anymore, so Hippo is generally a bit weaker than it was. But it could still yawn / Whirlwind spam, and saying yawn is making me yawn. On your opponent's team, obviously it's not going to win a lot of these matchups, but it can do decent against a lot. So Extra, Mimikyu, T-Tar, it can at least like yawn a lot of these Pokemon and live singular hits, and then you set up with your sweeper. It's the same thing as in Gen 7 when he had Hippo plus Charizard or Hippo plus Salamence. Exact same thing. Sylveon, generally especially defensive role. With the Pixelate boost, MyVoice hits pretty hard. And it can yawn, wish, protect. This is like the most common Sylveon spread. With some Spadef investment, something like this is pretty common. You can have ones with like special attack. You can run Breaking Sylveon, but like this set's probably the best overall. Just able to check Togekiss, unless it's Lumberry. Able to check Hydreigon, Yawn versus Snorlax, or any of these Pokemon. It can live one hit from nearly everything. Has to watch out for Excadrill. It's the main issue. Yawn, even Dragapult is another one. However, the fact that it's a sound move and it goes for sub is great for Sylveon. But yeah, that's Sylveon basically in a nutshell. You can run like a more offensive spread, but generally you want to run something like Clefable if you're running Life Orb, just because it has Magic Guard and it's not able to be status as much. But yeah, main things it has going for it: checking Hydreigon is a big one, and checking Togekiss, and then it can also check Rotom forms as well, and wish passing to your other members of the team. Looking at B+, basically his Pokemon aren't as good as the Pokemon up here. I think a few of them are like Toxapex maybe, but they have like specific things that they do that I'll talk through now. Aegislash. Main set you're going to see is Sash. You can also see Weakness Policy and Aegislash. Aegislash kind of suffered a bit, I guess, from Dynamax, because it can't stance change whilst Dynamax. But yeah, you can see stuff like Sash 4 attacks, Shadow Claw, Sneak, Sacred Sword, with maybe like some Steel move, Iron Head. This common set. You can run the special equivalent of this with Shadow Ball. You can run SD in one of these, SD in this slot maybe, or run SD over. Run SD with Iron Head and Shadow Sneak. Many options this Pokemon has. It's as it says, suffers from the Dynamax change. Another one that you can see is Weakness Policy. Same general principle. Aegislash just those base 140 attacks. It just hits like a truck. It has great typing. Can live at least one hit from anything. But yeah. Generally you're gonna have to watch out for certain shit up here. Good checks to Aegislash. There's not that many good defensive checks, but a lot of offensive ghost types. that threaten AG. Extra is a big annoyance for Aegislash, though they generally run Sash. High Dragon's another big annoyance. And Charizard, this is a huge Charizard, Rotom Heat. These are the other like annoying Pokemon for AG to face. Though it does have its good size. It switches into Snorlax relatively well. Charizard, you're often going to see it on as just like either a standalone sleeper or as a Sun on a Sun team with like Torkoal and stuff like that. Main thing that makes Charizard good: Solar Power plus Max Flare and Max Airstream with Air Slash. Solar Beam is always going to be on it. These three moves are always the same, and then you're going to have either work up, or you can have Ancient Power. Ancient Power hits Rotom Heat. Work up just makes you stupidly powerful, and basically, when you have Solar Flare plus Sun plus Fire Blast and all that, you're just stupidly powerful, and you sweep through teams. It has its flaws, as Charizard always has. It hates Stealth Rock. But that can be remedied with Heavy Duty Boots. If I can find them, there we go. Heavy Duty Boots, or you can have Charty Berry here as well for rock moves. Assault Vest is another one that you see coming more and more just for opposing Rotom forms. But yeah, it depends what sort of set you want. Ditto I'm not going to talk about. Durant, you're nearly always going to see the same set. What makes Durant strong is that Hustle works whilst Dynamaxed. And it's just makes it powerful as shit. First impression is going to be here. Thunderfang is always going to be on, almost always going to be on, and maybe you'll have something else on the last Superpower. Yeah, Superpower. This is a common Durant set. You can have Crunch here as well, something like that. But yeah, max attack, max speed, often seen with dual screens and seen with Type Null. Type Null is like a Pokemon that's slow and beefy, that slow pivots into Durant on and allows it to basically, you don't want to ever switch this measly specialty defense with stat Pokemon into any special attacker, but it can really hurt a lot of them. If it's in versus Togekiss, that Dynamax is not saving you from a hustle boosted Max Steel Spike, I can tell you that. But yeah, Durant, pretty decent Pokemon, has its downsides obviously. Gastro, often you see you can see multiple sets. Generally you're going to see Storm Drain. You can see Assault Vest, but it's less common. You want to have Recover and Scald, and almost all of them. You see Clear, Smog, and Earth Powers. It's like a common one. Or instead of these, you can have a Counter or a Mirror Coat here, or even both with the Sash. We can have Leftovers over Sash, or Bulky Berry over Sash. That's pretty common, and you're going to be running defense or special defense here. Rhyperior. Yeah. By the way, with Gastro and with Rhyperior as well, generally you're going to want some sort of grass coverage on your team, something like Rotomo or Firethorn, just so you can have something to deal with these Pokemon, because they can be very obnoxious if you don't have the right coverage. And Gastro can alleviate water water hits for certain Pokemon that are otherwise weak to it, like maybe like an extra or Rotom Heat or something like that. Okay. Time to take my breath, man. Solid Rock, always on Rhyperior. You're going to see two sets, Weakness Policy and Assault Vest. The main one's Weakness Policy. You see Stone Edge. You can see Stone Edge or Rock Blast. I'll put Rock Blast. Rock Blast is generally preferred for like breaking through Mimikyu, basically. Multi-hit moves are good. Earthquake, always going to see. Something like Fire Punch. You can see SD on Trick Room sets. Trick Room sets are almost always Mimikyu. Mimikyu plus Rhyperior is a very good pairing. But you'll see the Trick Room Mimikyu variants with Rhyperior generally, or on non Trick Room sets. You can see Heavy Slam to get defense boost with Max Steel Spike. You want to run like bulk of some sort with like Adamant Nature. Runs slow as shit if you're on Trick Room. Something like that. That's just a very vague spec. It isn't specifically EV'd. You might want to have some Spadef for EVing, and then with Assault Vests, it's the same thing really. You can Dynamax this and do a lot of damage. Although I think Assault Vest is a lot worse than Weakness Policy, where I think Rhyperior really kind of shines. Top specs. This thing is the exact same as it's always been. If Regenerator, Scald on every set, Recover on every set, Haze on most sets, and you generally have Toxic Spikes or Baneful Bunker. One of these three is going to be that last move. Black Sludge. Top specs, fortunately, able to run another Leftovers. Another reason why it's good. It's better on cartridge because it can time restore as well. As opposed to Showdown where it's only A+, A-, maybe in cartridge it's the top of A-, because it has that extra win condition. Umbreon, it's like a dark version of Sylveon that can also function as physical wall. You're gonna have inner focus is a common one, so you don't get flinched by like Gyarados, say. Although you can run Synchronize as well for like, but most of the toxic users are not going to be they're not going to be affected by toxic. Like you get toxic by Toxapex. Leftovers. Foul Play is a big one. Yawn, Wish, Protect, Max HP, Max Defense, Bold Nature. It does what it always does. It's there in bulkier cores as a pivot. It doesn't really do anything of any special thing, but you can struggle to break it with certain Pokemon. Foul Play does tons to like extra duel. Just see with Umbreon, it has the stab on Foul Play, which gives it an extra boost on top of obviously your opponent's attack. But some things like Curse Ferrothorn, Curse Snorlax, you can yawn them. So yeah, it does have that niche, and then you can wish into your Pokemons. I'm only going to talk about a few of these. Arcanine, I'm just going to say too long. You know what? I'll go through all of them. Arcanine, Intimidate. You're always going to have Intimidate, I think. You can run. You don't generally see Rocky Helmet. You can run Rocky Helmet though. AV is a common item. Flare Blitz, Extreme Speed. You can see these, and then either Close Combat or Play Rough. And Wild Charge is going to be, these three moves are always going to be there. You can like with Intimidate, you can switch into you can like Revenge Kill Gyarados by like Dynamaxing or something like that. Wild Charge hits Garrett, hits other bulky water types like Lapras, the ones that don't have Ground type. Toxapex is another one. And then Close Combat or Play Rough, depends on whether you want to hit Dragapult or you want to hit Tyranitar and Hydreigon. Oh well. Tyranitar and Snorlax. Hydreigon's hit by Play Rough as well. But yeah, I mean, I personally prefer Close Combat, but Play Rough definitely is equally as viable here. 252, you know, you want something, maybe not that, you want something like this. Max speed, max attack, and you can be adamant or you can be jolly. Either works, really. Yeah, and this Pokemon can Dynamax and sweep with extreme speed. We also run Choice Band, or Choice Scarf. Bandit Extreme Speed always been a win condition since the beginning of time, since Entei existed. Unfortunately, got Dragapult and Mimikyu, which is, you know, not great for Arcanine. Cinderace, I think, is a bit underrated. Should be in B+. But Cinderace, most common thing you're going to see is Sash. Cinderace is a very good lead that does like well against a lot of the meta and can kind of at least trade. Taunt, Sucker Punch, Pyro Ball, HJK, this sort of thing, or you can run U-turn on Sash over Sucker Punch. Pretty common set with, like, you know, max HP, max speed. You might want to run a bit of bulk investment. I think 60 HP, for example, guarantees, or 60 HP guarantees that you live Conqueror's Drain Punch. But that would be on non-Sash sets. You might want like something like Expert Belt on this sort of set. And then you don't have to run max speed. You know, there's not much between like Cinderace and like Charizard really. So you can run slower and bulkier sets on this. But yeah, cool Pokemon. You can also run Bounce on this, Pyro Ball, High Jump, Kick, Bounce, and kind of sweep through teams with max steals, with max Airstream. But that's less common. Where are we? Corsola, just another one of the Stormons. Always going to be running Cursed Body with Eviolite. And there's only one difference in the set, which is you either run... Well, there's a few sets. But the main one you're going to see is Stealth Rock, Nightshade, Will-O-Wisp, and Strength Sap. This one, or you can run Haze over Stealth Rock, because stuff like Mimikyu, even if you Will-O-Wisp and Strength Sap, it can eventually beat you. 252, bang, bang. Simple set here. Does quite well against a lot of the meta. You know, spreading status on Mimikyu extra draw. Has to watch out for Gara. It can take on. It can take on Cloyster. But yeah, has to watch out for strong special attackers and strong ghost attackers. Dragapult, any Nasty Plot Pokemon. So Nasty Plot Rotom, Hydreigon, no matter what set it is. Really big issues for it. Sylveon can yawn it out pretty consistently as well, and anything with taunt like Grimmsnarl. Hydreigon can taunt as well. T-Tar. These can be annoying to Corsola, as well as Toxapex that can just toxic it. But you know, it has its unique place in teams where you know, if you want something that's really fat that can take lots of hits, and Corsola is your mon. Dracovish, it's not as good as it used to be at the start of the gen, but you're always going to see the same sort of thing. Strong Jaw with a choice item, generally Choice Band, or Choice Scarf. You can see this under like Sticky Web or something like that. The main thing, yeah, I can put in all like 4 moves, but realistically, you're only clicking this move. Vicious Rend hits like a truck, base 170 if you move first or the opponent switches. Have to watch out for Gastro and Seismitoad and Lapras. Yep, water absorb mons are pretty common. So, but without it, Dracovish can put in work. You also have coverage, outrage, low kick, iron head, was crunch, facade. So it does have other things going for it, psychic things. But yeah, you always go see like Jolly, either Jolly Band or Jolly Scarf. Yeah, Sticky Web generally your main partner with Bandit at least, but Bandit can like break through Stolia teams. Dracozolt. People were sleeping on Dracozolt. There was a time where people believed that Dracovish was better than Dracozolt. Fortunately, that is not the case. Assault Vest, Volt Absorb is something you can see commonly. Bolt Beak you're always going to see, similar to Vicious Rend, except for electric types. Dragon Move. Bolt Beak, a Dragon Move, Dragon Claw. Earthquake you're always going to see for Excadrill. Switching, because Excadrill otherwise beats the shit out of this. And you see something like Fire Fang, at least there's something to Ferrothorn. So that's like a common Assault Vest set. This is good for like checking stuff like Rotom forms. I mean, there's a lot of Pokemon that can switch into Rotom, but the important difference between Dracozolt and those Pokemon is that Dracozolt drains momentum from Rotom with Volt Absorb. So like I can switch, for example, like people misunderstand why Dracozolt is good, because I was talking to quite I guess a prominent member of the community about Dracozolt, and basically Snorlax switched into Rotom as the Sylveon, but the thing is that Rotom can get momentum off those Pokemon by clicking Volt Switch, whereas it can't do that versus Dracozolt. The other thing it has going for it is a more offensive set, so you can run. I don't know what you'd run Tossle plus Bolt Beak, and you'd have Aerial Ace instead of maybe Fire Fang. Hustle, and you can still run Assault Vest on Hustle, or Life Orb is another one, and yeah, you just want to on that sort of set you just want to run the speed. Looking further down, Duraludon. Duraludon. Basically, with Duraludon, you're going to see there's a few things you probably want to have heavy metal. Doesn't matter too much. Watch Stalwart doesn't work the way we thought it did at the start. Main things. Most important thing is Assault Vest. Duraludon has a great defensive typing. The only one other than Dialga. Draco, Flash Cannon / Steel Beam, T-Bolt for Gara, and Water types, and Corviknight, and then what you going to make? Dark Pulse can give you Max Darkness for the special drop, and then you can just special defense drop. I've been playing too much RBY. And then you just run something like max HP, max special attack, and you just use this as a Dynamaxer. Other option is running weakness policy instead of Assault Vest. Duraludon, mainly you're looking for Earthquake and as your bait of choice. To an extent, something like Hippo Earthquake, extra Quake, maybe even like Viperia Quake. These are big ones. But yeah, it has a great typing resistances. Can check stuff like token kiss due to its typing. But you just have to watch out for even with Assault Vest, it has mediocre special defense. And yeah, I guess you can also get weakness policy off body press and stuff like that from Ferrothorn or from Corviknight. I forgot to mention, I think with Ferrothorn back here, that Ferro can also run like Curse plus body press or Iron Defense plus body press is also like, that's also an option. You're always going to want to run Leech Seed and I think Gyro Ball though. Looking down further, Haxorus. Haxorus, pretty simple one. Great sweeper. You're always going to want Lumberry on this thing. People are going to try and burn Haxorus. You can run Life Orb and stuff like that, but I feel like the Haxorus is one of those. There's definitely Pokemon like Togekiss and that can benefit off Lumberry, but Haxorus is the prime target for opposing burns, opposing yawns, stuff like that. Dragon Dance, of course, lovely move on this. You can run either Dragon Core or Outrage. I'm just going to use Outrage, close combat, and you want a steel move of some sort. Iron Tail is fine. You're not actually going to use raw Iron Tails. This is just for max Steel Spike, so you can live hits. Dragon Dance into like max Steel Spike, or you can run Quake over this, or Shadow Claw even. Yeah, and then you just start sweeping people with plus speed, with your boosted speed. Often you see Haxorus paired with dual screens. Not so much webs. It's fast enough in this meta that it doesn't need web support. But yeah, dual screens is a big one. So you'll see paired with Grimmsnarl in particular is a common pairing, and then some sort of sweeper on the special side. And yeah, Haxorus doesn't need weakness policy to deal lots of damage. It only needs +1. So yeah, very threatening mon. It does have checks. Stuff like Snorlax can effectively check it. Dynamaxed Corviknight, Togekiss, these things can check it. Mold Breaker, I should say, is useful in Haxorus for Mimikyu in particular. Oh, Dragapult can also kind of check it as well. And Cloyster. Should be noted, Cloyster also has like decent priority in Ice Shard for a lot of this tier. Quag, you're going to see it on stall. I mean, Quag hasn't changed a single bit. So, Quagsire, unaware. It has Water Absorb, actually, funnily enough. But, yeah. Bulky Barrier leftovers. You go see Scald always. And then you can see Yawn is a common one. You see Protect and Recover. This is common Quag set. Yawn just like stops Pokemon like basically because of the way the gen works. Like you could set up on Quagsire. Normally in past gens that wouldn't really matter too much because Quag would generally like check the Pokemon it needed to check essentially. So like let's say take Quagsire versus Mimikyu. Quag would always check like SD Mimikyu, and you go and you'd push your Mimikyu and Z and recover it all back up, and then you're fucked. And then you eventually get skull burned, and you'd die. But like the problem with it in this generation is because of Dynamax, you can Max Phantasm exists, but generally moves just get more powerful. Quag is bulky, but it isn't hugely bulky, and it doesn't have great defensive resistances. It just has the ability. So having Yawn there and Protect just to dissuade Dynamax is important. But you can also see like shit like Earthquake, Toxic. These are common ones. On Quag, I haven't seen a stockpile Quag yet, but probably imagine stockpile Quag is pretty good. B minus. We're going into some of the underrated Pokemon here. I'll do these like 8 or 9 and then we'll sign off. Clefable. Clefable, unfortunately unaware, is not available yet. You're always going to see this. Life 4 with Moonlight. I assume it doesn't get better. Moonblasts. Fire Blast or Flamethrower. And then Thunderbolt. Just max special attack, max life orb. Great breaker of fat. This Pokemon. Not really much wants to switch into this except Rotom Heat. Rotom Heat is a big annoyance to this Pokemon. And obviously like it can be outsped and killed by shit like Excadrill. But yeah, you know, it's a budget Hydreigon check. Really cannot switch into +2 Flash Cannon from Life Orb Hydreigon at all. It gets OHKO'd. But yeah, it can do like a decent amount of store breaking. You know, when teams have like Toxapex, try to think what else. You know, Toxapex, Corviknight, you know, are the big ones that really kind of just like Umbreon. These Pokemon are for food for Life Orb Clefable. And that's kind of how good it is in the meta. Conk is underrated. Love Conk. You're mostly going to want to see Flame Orb. You can run Assault Vest on Conk with like Sheer Force or Iron Fist, but Flame Orb is the main set. Drain Punch, Mach Punch. Mach Punch, great priority. You want it. Excadrill, Tyranitar, Hydreigon. That's all you need to know. Drain Punch, Snorlax. T-Punch. After that is probably your most common. Hits Corviknight and hits Gyarados. Hits Rotom Wash neutrally, though you're always going to click Drain Punch on this. Yeah, mainly those two, and then you can run Ice Punch, you can run Payback, you can run Bulk Up. It does get walled by certain Pokemon. Galarian Corsola is a big one. That walls it. Aegislash, another one. You can run Quake if you want. I don't think it's that good. You can even run Taunt on Conk. But yeah, max attack. You can see is a common one with HP investment with some Spadef. You want speed just enough to outspeed Hippo. Something like this is decent. Or you see some running defense. You can run defense. Just I'm not saying run max defense in fish, but like enough defense to live a max airstream from Gyarados, whilst Dynamaxed, maybe even a +1/1 and kill it with max lightning. But yeah, that's Conk for you. Very good under Trick Room, but it does suffer from being slow and being weak to max airstream in particular. Is not a good one to be weak to. Can generally live a hit though from a lot of these Pokemon, and nothing really wants to take a Conkeldurr hit. No, these two probably will be B eventually. Diggersby though. Common Diggersby set. Lum, Sash. You're going to be seeing, I'll just go a bit Lum for example, EQ, Body Slam. You can see Double Edge here. Does it get Double Edge? No, it doesn't get Double Edge. Okay. Let's see Body Slam or Facade then. I haven't played much with this Pokemon, but I know like the vague vagaries of it. Bounce. These are like the main three. Yeah, you just want Facade. If you're not running Lum, of course. Facade is good for you know, people clean Will-O-Wisp and shit. Iron Head's also good for Max Steel Spike. Yeah, or SD here. Speed. You want to be fast. This will allow you to outspeed like. Don't think it outspeeds Dragapult. 140 times 1.3. No, 1.5. 210. Did I just put 140? 143, 214. So it's, I don't think it's outspeeding. Is it outspeeding Dragapult by 1 point? I think so. Yeah. So that's something that's going for Diggersby. So yeah, you always want Jolly. Glalie. Sad times for Glalie fans. No evasion boost this thing, but you still do the same thing. It's not as good on cartridge because of just the time stalling mechanics. Freeze dry. Sheer cold. It runs the same set though. Protect. Sub. And you generally want to have sticky web, some sort of speed control. I think 172. There we go. Yeah, optimal leftovers number 177. That's it. You know, you're doing the same thing. You try and get boosts and you try and click sheer cold a bunch of times. Not quite as good because of the evasion boosts. Lapras. Basically with Lapras, it's going to change a lot because of when the G-Max comes out, but AV is the most common set. Ice Shard, Freeze Dry, Sparkling Area, and Sheer Cold. You can run T-Bolt on one of these slots, but yeah, something like this. Basically, it checks quite a lot of Pokemon decently well. Yeah, it's just like one of those bulky Pokemon, hit hard, checks Dragapult well, can like at least live a hit from Excadrill and hit it back hard, checks Togekiss quite well, and Hydreigon quite well. Doesn't have any recovery. Sheer Cold is basically for shit that will just wall it forever, like Toxapex, otherwise, or Corsola. Ooh. And Sparkling Area, just main stab, but also hits Glalie hard hits through Pokemon trying to sub up. Does have a few weaknesses though. Obviously hates rock moves. Can't really switch into fighting moves at all. And yeah, is strong, but at the same time weak. And you know, there's shit like Rotom Wash, which will just click Volt Switch. You can run like Mirror Coat on this. You can run like I've seen leftover sets with Parashong, with like Sub, Parashong, and stuff like that. Another option can be used for stall. I think it discerns Whirlpool. Not sure if that's legal. Is it legal? Okay, yeah, it's legal. So you can trap people with Lapras as well in this gen. And then last one is Weakness Policy. Fat enough to run Weakness Policy basically, and does pretty well off it. Locking down Rotom Fan, basically similar to Gyarados, except it's a special attacker. Really, Life Orb example, Expert Belt, Sharp Beak. You the difference between this Rotom and the other ones is it doesn't really have much defensive utility. Air Slash, Nasty Plot, T-Bolt, and Dark Pulse, generally your most common. Could run Will-O-Wisp over Dark Pulse. Boom, boom. You Nasty Plot and you start max air streaming. Timid nature, of course. Not as good as I think it was. There's better Dynamaxes out there, but you know, it's usable. Seismitoad, something that's underrated. Swift Swim, you're generally seeing it over Water Absorb. There was a time where you saw lots of Water Absorb, but most common thing, Life Orb, 4 attacks. Great. Grass Knot, Hydro, Sludge Bomb or Sludge Wave. Either one's fine, and then you might have like Earth Power. So yeah, just 4 attacks. You're going to want special attack. You want speed, so you can outspeed Dragapult. Well, you can't outspeed. Yeah, you can outspeed Dragapult. Yeah, and like a few like Scarfers at +2, like Scarf Rotom and stuff like that. Yeah, Hydro Pump sets up you can self set up your rain and then sweep through teams. Been rising up in usage. Just an underrated threat, really. Toxtricity. There's like two main sets. I haven't really used this Pokemon too much. Punk Rock, main ability, give you sand stab from your moves. Throat Spray is viable, but not the most important. Assault Vest is pretty decent. Like AV Electrics is becoming more common just because of Togekiss existing, and you're going to want Boom Burst. This thing hits fucking hard with Punk Rock. This is only 1.3 boost, not a 1.5. It has its own move, Overdrive. You know, just a sound move. And then you can run Hex, Sludge Bomb, Sludge Wave. You can run Will-O-Wisp Hex on like non-Assault Vest Toxtricities. I think it gets WoW. Oh no, it doesn't get WoW. What does it get? T-Wave Hex or Toxic Hex? Yeah, another option. Also on like more offensive sets, you can run Life Orb with Shift Gear. It has a respectable attack stat, so you can run you could run physical attacks on it if you wanted. I think it's a waste. But you can Shift Gear for the speeds, and you can sweep through teams with like strong ass boom bursts and overdrives. Also gets Nuzzle. Nuzzle is also very good on this Pokemon on the Salt Vest sets. Guaranteed paralysis, always broken. Whimsicott. You see a lot of different sets. Generally, there's like 2 general main themes. The Sash with like Tailwind, you know, Taunt, Moonblast, and like Memento, or like Hyper Offense teams. And then you have the second one, which that'll just be on hard setup, and Whimsicott with like Leftovers and sub Leech, Cotton Guard, and Moonblast, and just uses Prankster to get really fat. You can like live like Extra Jaws, Iron Head, and then start sub leeching it. Substitute with Prankster, really annoying for opponents to deal with, especially when they're leech seeded, because you can store like Dynamax, for example. But this Pokemon is on the other hand quite passive, so like the Pokemon can lose to like Excadrill, for example, just because it can be SD'd, can get +6 on it. But like Cotton Guard is always going to beat your opponent's setup, just because it's just a better setup move on the defensive side. So like, I'm not going to write sets down for these, but like Alchemy has some use on Store, just as a special defensive wall. with like recover. That's what it gets over Sylveon. It's not quite as good. I think it's like actually worse than Sylveon, but it's less momentum draining, and also it can't be put to sleep. There's another thing. What else is like stands out and see? Butterfree. It's basically Vivillon from last gen. It's shit of Vivillon because it's slower and weaker, but same thing. Compound Eyes, Hurricane, Quiver Dance, Sleep Powder, and Sub. Generally, you see it with Sticky Web of some sort. Yawn Spammers, Double Cotton Guards, Body Press, Baton Pass, Sub, or Agility instead of Sub. Decent Baton Passer does do you can Baton Pass defense into certain Pokemon and they just become unkillable, especially when Dynamaxed. What else is good? Well, I say good, it's relative terms. Hatterene, it's like a secondary Trick Room setter over like Mimikyu's like the primary one. Hatterene's the secondary, is like the second best one, but it's not very good. It's nowhere near as good as Mimikyu, but has Magic Bounce. So always get up Trick Room if you have a Sash on you, except if you get flinched by an Iron Head from Extra Duel. Inteleon, this Pokemon should probably be in B-. It's strong. It's just strong. Torrent Sweeper, Sash Torrent. Functions similar to Cinderace, or you can run Subtorrent, which is like not quite as good version of Subtorrent Greninja from last gen. Milotic, basically just another bulky water defensive wall. It has speed. It actually outspeeds Togekiss by 1 point. It has decent special defense, so that is something that you can look out for. Like it can haze Tokiss's boosts and then proceed to wall it, and you can wall Tokiss after Dynamax is over. What else? Torkoal, it's like alright. And lastly, Type Null. Type Null I should talk about. Type Null and Durant generally a combo. Obviously, you can see Charizard with it as well. Just slow. Thunder Wave, Icy Wind, U-Turn, and then something like Crush Claw or Tri Attack is common on Type Null. Just slow as shit. You eat up hits and then you pivot into spread status or slowness, and you pivot into your big threats. That's it, really. My voice is getting tired, so I'm going to sign off, but hopefully that informs you a bit about like some of the best Pokemon and like what they do, and I hope it helps. I'll be trying to put up more games, more content and stuff like that over the next few days, and yeah.